Hey there, so the big question I'm answering right now is, should you go over your calorie target to meet your protein target? So we know that a calorie deficit is the most important thing for fat loss. We also know that a high protein diet can be hugely beneficial as well, helping you to build muscle, preserve muscle, and also help you stay fuller for longer. These are good things. So is there ever a time where you've met your calorie target for the day, or you've eaten all of your calories before you've got to the end of the day, but you've not quite hit your protein target? Should you sacrifice that calorie target in order to hit your protein target? Is protein that important? Well, the simple answer is no. If your goal is merely fat loss and that is your primary objective and that's where you want to get to, then your focus should always be on your calorie deficit first. Yes, protein is important for the reasons that I've mentioned, but you should always be focusing on that calorie deficit first. There never is a time where you think, well, I'm just going to creep over this calorie target, maybe then pushing yourself up to maintenance, potentially into a surplus, depending on what you're having, just to hit that protein target. Because your protein target, you may not believe it, but actually isn't as important as you may think it is. Now, that might be quite surprising to hear me say that, but it's true. Especially if your goal is merely weight and fat loss. If you haven't got goals to build a lot of muscle, to maybe take things to an advanced stage in terms of training, then definitely protein targets aren't the be all and end all that you may think they are. Yes, they're beneficial. Yes, they serve a purpose in terms of hitting those protein goals to help you build muscle, to help you preserve any muscle that you've built. But again, if the goal is literally just weight and fat loss, then you've got a much broader range of protein to work within. You could go anywhere from about like 1.2, 1.4 grams per kilo, right up to 2.7 grams per kilo. You have this really broad range. So let's say, for example, your target is 100 grams of protein per day. Does it matter if you hit 80 grams of protein one day and 90 grams the next, 100 grams the following day, and then maybe 80 grams another day? No. Your goal and your progress towards that goal is largely going to be the same, and it's going to be undeterred if you've maintained that calorie deficit. Your actual adherence to the protein target is much less important, again, if the goal is just weight and fat loss. If you're a person who really wants to focus in on preserving their muscle, potentially building muscle in a deficit, yes, you are going to have to optimize your protein intake. But if you are missing your protein feeding for just one day, again, it's not hugely important. Just put it past you, keep the calorie deficit in place, make more progress to that fat loss goal, and then get back on the protein for the next day. Make sure you understand, well, what is it that took me off track in terms of hitting my protein targets? Was it that you ate out, or you ate something different, or you were not as well planned as you thought you were going to be, and that's what took you off track? Learn from that, make some adjustments, and move forward. Don't sacrifice that calorie deficit in order to hit your protein target. Now, the only time where I would potentially say to not do that and actually sacrifice your calorie target for protein would be if you are specifically trying to build muscle and you are already in a calorie surplus. Now, if you're already in a calorie surplus, you're eating more calories than your body is burning. Therefore, you're in this slight surplus, optimal environment for you to build muscle, potentially also increasing a little bit of fat, not too much because you're not doing it crazy. Now, in that case, protein feedings become more important. Optimizing your protein feedings across the day becomes more of a priority. Your training is creating the stimulus and the environment for you to actually build muscle, and then protein is actually now going to help make that process happen. So if you are underfeeding in terms of protein, then you are compromising the amount of muscle that you are going to build. So on the odd occasion, now I do say odd occasion, that you may have kind of fucked things up and you kind of went slightly off track with your calorie management, protein management, and you're at the end of the day thinking, well, actually, if I just have this protein shake, I'll hit my protein target. Yes, I might go slightly over my calorie target for the day. That might be a situation where that's okay, because that mild calorie excess above your surplus probably won't have a material impact on you gaining too much fat and things like that, but actually optimizing your protein might help you in that situation. Now, would I do it every single time? Probably not, because the more times you keep doing that, you're just going to keep overeating, and you're going to put on a load of fucking fat that you really, really didn't want. You wanted to do this lean bulk. You didn't want to go the dirty bulk route and start ramming your body full of God knows what in terms of volume of calories. So in the odd occasion you might want to do that, yes, you could sacrifice calories for protein. But again, it'll be learn from it. Make sure it doesn't happen again. You want to keep to that calorie target more often than not. So that's basically it. It's a question that a lot of people have, a lot of coaching clients that I have come onto my program, and then they really understand that it's a calorie deficit that they should be focusing on, but they've also heard that high protein diets are hugely beneficial. So they wonder, should they sacrifice that calorie deficit to hit that protein target? And the answer 99.999 times out of 100 is absolutely not. Do not sacrifice the deficit to hit your protein target. And like I said, the only time you may want to do that is if you're in a surplus and you want to optimize those protein feedings, but don't make a fucking habit of it. Get that nutrition on point, get yourself progressing to your goals, and that's the best way to manage things. Cool. So if you enjoyed this, let me know. You can come and visit me on Instagram at iron_paradise_fitness, and you can come say hi. Come tell me you enjoyed this little short, sweet episode, and drop me a DM. Say you enjoyed the podcast, maybe even give me some ideas for the next podcast. But until then, all I'll say is keep living the lean life, and I'll see you for the next one.